don't think marriage is what, my mom told me. Niggas are the same. Like, nothing changes. Like, they are all crazy enough to, like, do, like, crazy stuff. There are some sacrifices that have to be done. Like, I'll tell you this, like, I enjoy everything, spending time with my kids, my family, because I chose not to go clubbing in my 20s.
To have like that well-being and experiences shared with you. Today, I have a guest that we can't wait to have a conversation with. And Paul Zana is a very long-time friend, and I've been wanting to have this conversation with him. And welcome, Paul Zana, to the podcast.
Yo, man, thanks for having me. Yeah, this one has been long due, and I can't wait to see what value we pack into this and, give out to your audience. But also, like, the audience have been really piecing together for the last, 6 years doing this content grind. Yeah, so I'm excited, man.
I mean, just to start off, for the viewers, I know you, but for the viewers who don't know you, like, who is the man seated in front of us right now? Like, how best can you tell us?
Right.
Yeah, like the man seated in front of us right now.
Right. Yeah, I'll start off actually from the point now. Right now, I'm a professionally like paid product designer, so that's what I do for a living. And one thing we love in product design is what we call personas. So there's this thing where you could like manifest different personalities through someone. And the reason why I'm telling you this, like, I've always like struggled with intros, trying to find a bucket, put all my portfolio into that. It is something that really I struggle with, even in interviews. Like, regardless how much I prep, I don't know which persona to put on because I'm kind of like mouth first. So I'll take you back, when I decided to leave my mommy's home, that is Kawempe. By the way, I'm a product of Kawempe, so that is quite fascinating. So I decided to leave my mommy's home, I think, by the time I'm done with high school and just decided to take on the world. So I, convinced my friend. We decided to rent this amazing space. And the only thing we could do really is just, wait tables at the bars. So that's how we managed to pay our rent. But couple years forward, I decided to like really start a company, something that I was really passionate about because I had friends. I don't know whether you know Vodo, the Vodo community, those guys. I met them around, I think 2013, 14. And they were putting on this, energy of young people who were trying to like, revolutionize like painting and all that. Because they had like really some sort of energy or they felt some type of way for the old guys. So they inspired me really to come up with something that could, help them really sell their masterpieces to the white people. So that's, that story really is something that I anchor my life on because if I didn't really decide to build a product back in 2014, I wouldn't like end up into design. I'll tell you this, like when I decided to start my product back in 2014, that really gave me so much leverage in learning how technology really works. And, away from that, I think what really happened, we were lucky. We set up the product, launched it, and made some sales, which was really exciting. So this guy, my co-founder being older than me, he was the guy who was running all the bank accounts. So he ran away with all the money. But out of frustration, I think that's when I decided to pick on design, doing something most people know me for, which is, designing, being an art director for agencies. And I think in 2018, that's when I decided to quit the advertising world and decided really to just go be me, right? And I started working with businesses, helping them really thrive online. So as you can see that there are quite a bunch of things that have led to the, build I am today. So right now I'm working on a product that I'm excited about, which is something that is going to help me as a creator, but also like really help millions of creators in Africa. That's pretty much about me. I don't know whether that really fits any pocket, but just to give you a taste of the other dimension of my life, I'm a dad. I have about like 3 kids now, like boys. So I'm a stay-home dad. I enjoy being with my family almost like all time.
Well, we have a lot to unpack.
About me.
Careers, relationships, families. All that in one episode right now. Zana, I think
Yeah.
I've known you now for like 6 years, seven
Right.
years right now. But I think when it comes to like product designing and
Mm-hmm.
having that peculiar eye when it comes to product, you're one of the best people in Uganda. I would say maybe even in East Africa right now, per se. I mean, what's that one thing that you look out for? Because products right now are frequenting the market in every angle, beverage, tech, now we have
Yeah.
AI, but so we have like different products that are on market. And when you look at
Mm-hmm.
the product designers that we have at the moment, they're relying more on, let's just say, AI and just a few basics. So would you say we are having the right products and the market that the way they're supposed to be at the moment?
Right.
What's your take on that?
Right. I mean, like if you put the focus on Uganda, I would say we're not even near that. So the way like
Yeah.
my observation, like the YC technology, the way it flows from like maybe origins of innovation, say like the way AI is born in the US. It takes a couple years that technology to flow our way. So if you put in perspective, the things that excite us now have been like 5 years old maybe in the past. And most people actually don't take notice of this. So when you see ChatGPT, of course, like it's making all these headlines. People are using it for good. It's like really giving them like potential, being more productive and efficient. But when you start now contrasting that, how many people are using it here, like it's like almost like the 0.1%. And I think that is the same behavior of like how we see tech. So the way I always like love to think about it is like if Safe Border is like the best product Uganda has produced and Africa has produced, I think that is the best, product we can use to judge whether we live up to like the international standards. And yeah, I don't know, man.
But
Like,
but
what do
why
you
is
think
that
about Safe
so?
Border? Like,
Like why is that so? Like why
sorry?
ain't why is that so? Like why aren't we having more users when it comes to like such create innovations that are coming on so that we can utilize them to our best and to the fullest? Why aren't we having like more users like use AI or use these features to develop like better products on market,
Right, right.
especially in Uganda right now? Yeah.
Right. I'll tell you this, like potential is there. Like recently I was trying to make a tweet. In fact, like the way I had composed this tweet was like building products in Africa is hard. And I had like a full essay on why it's
Yeah, I
hard.
saw that.
But like I had to delete what I wanted to post because I knew it could come off like really in a different type of way to most people. But when you
Yeah.
realize that the problem Africa has is the people, then you start like really zeroing down on like what can we do to like build our people. That means like we start off with the mindset trying to like get them to like a point where they at least are in touch with technology. But not only that, like having a spirit of building. Like I've seen people who have built stuff, but they don't know how to take, the next big move. Say for instance, you see someone who's like, tremendously like successful, but that success really is just runway for you to, prepare to the next big thing. If you like look at the musicians we got here, they had like their time of fame, and they didn't figure out like that this is gonna weigh out. Like there will be a new guy who is famous, and then you won't have the same leverage. So for me, that has been like the reality that like our people really, I don't know, like they give up so soon, or they enjoy quick success and they forget that the game of success like never ends. Like once you win here, that same like spirit has to like push you to the next big thing. And I think that's what really Africa
All
lacks.
right.
Like you meet a rich man who has like so much wealth, and you try to like sit them down like to get a take of how they made all this wealth, and they can't tell you, man. Like life has been like all guesswork, cutting corners. So and I think like really Africa, without me even hesitant, like we
Yeah.
have like heroes who are built on grants. Even the startups we have, like
Yeah.
a CEO is like sitting down hoping that if this year we get a grant, that would be really savior. Now imagine this is a business. Like you don't intend to like, go out asking for free money or donations because that would be an NGO. But we see kids who are, in Africa who are building good products, but the only thing they have in mind is like, let me build it to a certain level so that I can get a grant and I enjoy my life. So they are not building really for building or for the sake of building. And I think that is really where the problem is at. Like the people, man.
Right.
Like we
Right.
need to do some work on the African people, to
No,
get them to that state where they they think about building in the real sense.
yeah. I mean, speaking about building, I've watched you, or I've even like been um like on the corners of you building the product you have right now. That's Buvazi. And tell us about Buvazi first of all. Like, what is it? What inspired it? What does it do? Like, what's
Right.
Buvazi? Yeah.
Right. Oh man, that is a crazy backstory. I don't know whether we should go there,
No,
but
we have all
let
the
me try
time,
to
but let's,
summarize it.
yeah.
Okay, all right, I got you. So most of you guys don't know this, and I've never really came out to say this, and I think this is the first time I share it, with the rest of the world. I've always had this, passion for fashion. Like way back, I think a friend of mine who is a celebrity right now called Shakib showed me my first stall, where you can get a nice sneaker, right? So he's my OB. I think we were in high school. And then he used to like rock some like amazing sneakers. So I tell him, man, where do you get the sneakers? I need one of those All Stars. And he's like, yeah, man, like if you can wake up early in the morning, maybe 5 a.m. in the morning, I could take you to Owino and look at all the good stuff. And I'm like, yeah, man, that's cool. So I had some money. We were in Kawempe, so we had to link up like in town. And it took me to a place called Container Village. Container Village is like where you find all the best sneakers, like secondhand. Like sometimes like they feel new. Now there's like a huge other story of like how Shakib was like a fashion star who inspired like the next generation of kids to like to do the Chikumba thing. Now that kind of like for me started an idea of like how do I, come downtown, look for the good stuff, like say first class, and then I go flip it, like go sell it to my, colleagues at school. And I think that started like a revelation of like me selling like fashion. So at school, that was my side hustle. Like I used to like just go get some like good stuff, like, sell it to my other, friends. And then, when school is done, I'm like, what is the best thing, to do with, I don't know, limited capital? And I think that was like, secondhand stuff. Like I used to go there, get some like secondhand stuff and, go to universities. So I used to like go knock all those doors. And now the fascinating thing, these kids look at me as like a student. They thought I was, maybe doing a bachelor's or something. But for me, university wasn't really that sort of aspiration I had way back. In fact, I remember like having a conversation with my uncle who wanted me so bad to do computer science. And he's like, yo, why don't you just go do this thing? And I remember telling him vividly, like, yo, man, like I can't go study what I know already how to do. And he's like, okay, so what do you want to study then? So I tell him I want to do design. But I think design by then, like if you tell your uncle or your parents that you want to do design, they will they will look at you as a mad person. Because like, I think the professions that were respected were like, say, engineers, doctors, like everything was secondary.
Right.
But yeah, like instead of going to university, I started like selling fashion to like university students, which kind of like really made me some money. And I remember this is when the idea started really to shape. Because in between there I was like tingling with technology, trying to figure out like how do I build leverage on the internet. And I remember writing in my notebook that if I'm to build a product, I'm gonna call it Wino. And the backstory was like this product would be a thing where people could like, look for good stuff and go sell it to their friends, right? But of course, like life got in the way. I didn't really, fall through with the idea very, soon. I think it came back to me around 2020 when the entire country was shut down. Like if you remember the lockdown. And I called up my friends. I'm like, yo guys, I'm trying to build this thing where we're gonna like, be selling secondhand outfits on like on the internet. So essentially I would teach people how to kuyiriba.
Yeah.
And it was like that basic thing I did way back. Now we excited, started building. We worked on like this prototype, and the idea was simple. Like we do a Tinder like swipe, experience where you just come and like swipe.
Cool.
Because in my head, I thought, because I've always been like an experienced designer, my guy. Like it's when I'm working on something, I'm trying to like mimic the real way it's done in the real world. So when we were building the first prototype, my idea was, the way if you've ever been downtown, like the way people are fighting for like the good stuff. So if like the guy who cut the barrel pulls out like one t-shirt that is nice,
Yeah.
nigga throws it in the air and everyone is fighting to grab it first. So I'm like, okay, so there's that competitive approach to it. Like, why don't we just do a Tinder swipe thing where someone is like going through like varieties of products? And yeah, it was amazing, but like, I don't know what happened to my co-founders by then. So we did some like crazy photography. We bought some outfits. My guys kind of like gave up, like, and I don't know why. Like they just like, felt like, yo, this can't work out right now. So, and I think I decided also like to pause it because I really needed like, because the one thing I've understood in life, like if your idea is so good, you gotta really wait and, look for that moment where you do the big bang, right? And I think for me, that revelation has been TikTok, because TikTok has really opened up like the community of content creation, that it's no longer for a few people. Like when we just started Instagram had its own aesthetic, man. Like if you woke up and you wanted to start today, you would always have that fear of like, how am I gonna fit it? But on TikTok, man, pull out your average phone somewhere in Masindi in a plantation, record a video, you could go viral,
Right.
And I'm like, okay, this is the perfect moment Bovaz really has to, build on top of this reality. But I think prior to that, in between, I decided to like, ignore my original idea, focus on building a community, trying to like figure out ways of making money on the internet. So for the last 5 years, I've been doing that. Because for me, if you remember all the conversations we've had, like the only thing I always like interface with the reality of content creation is like, yo, how do you make the money, right? So for me, it's been this inflection of like the old ideas I've had and all the bad experiences I've went through, like setting up a company in the US and I only made, $4 after spending like, $2,000. And I'm like, why do we have to kneel down to, the US? And I know like every African, Pan-African, all the presidents we've had like that have that narrative of like, fuck the white people. Of course, like they're just like really chit-chatting. But for me, one thing I've like really chose is known to like rant about the complexities of, the white, supremacy.
Yeah.
It is something you choose whether to, show up on the other side as someone who wants to build something that is going to give yourself leverage and your fellow Africans or fellow Ugandans leverage. And I think for me, that's what I chose to do. It's like build the infrastructures we don't have. Like for me, when I look at Amazon affiliate program, I'm like, it's just a link, my guy. It's just a link that takes you to a product. Why do you need me to have an, SSN, a social security number to
Right.
set up an account like that one? I'm like,
Right.
nah, man. Like as a technology person, as someone who builds software for other corporations, I'm like, I'm going to build that. Like, I'm just going to build that and give it to creators. And I think that is been what we've been doing. So we launched in October of last year as a WhatsApp community. And I love the fact that people trusted me because like all I had were ideas, but they were willing to just dive in and like build this with me. So like that community that helped me like build till now, because we made a year this month. Crazy. All those girls, all those dudes are still around with us. We have about like 10 creators who are using the mobile application and we're still building, man. One thing I'm going to tell you, people always like think building something that can stand the test of time is gonna take months. Like, why would it stay around for years or decades if you build it in a month? It's almost close to impossible. Like, you gotta still be building for the next decades that are yet to come. So for me, we just started. And there are so many learnings, and we're excited to just see how this product is going to really help like creators like ourselves really make money on the internet. Yeah.
That's pretty nice. I mean, let's go back for a few minutes ago when you talked about setting up a company in the United States. I mean, how do you even get that idea? Like, there are literally very few creatives and very few. I mean, I don't want to say that maybe no business people said are doing that. Like,
Right.
they're just maybe exporting and importing products. How do you set up a company
Yeah.
in the US and yet you're in Uganda?
Yeah.
It's kind of hard. I would assume,
Of course, like there's some problems that money can help you solve. It's one of those problems where it's not really hard if you have the money. But look at me, like I'm in a position of privilege. I've set up this YouTube channel, and I've started getting international brand deals. And in my head, I'm like, I'm gonna make money. Like I'm gonna be rich soon. So I'm all excited. I'm like, okay, now it's time to invest into this real, project, which for me, like getting the first brand deal was like the first sentiment of like understanding that what I've been building is real. So I had this idea of like setting up a knowledge product because like I had a community of designers. Most of these kids really trusted me for being like an authoritarian in the space. Like they think I know a lot of shit about design. So I'm like, okay, shit. Like I just need to like figure out a way of packaging a product. Can we cuss? I'm just. Are we allowed to do that?
Yeah. We can.
Alright.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's a
alright.
free podcast. Yeah.
All right. So like I'm excited. I'm like, okay, I have this platform
It's all
I built.
good.
Like kids really trust me. I just need to set up a knowledge product. So I got excited. I set up a course. And in that course, and I remember like my idea was like to teach kids how to like leverage their, natural skills like sketching to come up with ideas. Because I saw the AI revelation coming way back. I set up a podcast called Freeform. Like I think the intro was the last thing I did with that project. But the entire premise was like, how do I like tell people that AI is here, AI is real? You need to, sharpen your design skills. So I launched a course. Of course, like in the process of like setting up a course, that's when I realized like these technologies or software tools are not built for Africa, man. So I needed like say to access a payment platform, and everything used Stripe. So Stripe is like a standard in the US for almost like every SaaS or technology product. I'm like, so okay, how do I get a Stripe account? Recently, Stripe just introduced something for Africa only, but way back it was like you have to really go into the process of like setting up a company in the US. There's an option for non-citizens. Now doing that, there are a couple ways you could do it. Like there is you just go into like tutorials and watching people have done it in the past, and then you do it yourself. It's a bit risky because you don't know what you're doing. You might lose some money in the process. Now, for me, I chose to get an agent to help me set up my company in the US, which costed me around like, I think, $550, which I was okay to pay. But then what I didn't see coming was the, filing, tax returns every year, paying the state some money, I didn't see that coming. I'm like, it's like the Ugandan way where you set up a company and nothing happens, still like your company makes money. In the US, it's different, my guy, Even if you don't make money, you have to file the report and tell the state that I didn't make money, It's like, okay, I didn't see that coming, but, luckily enough, after my company set, I got my bank account and I did set up my knowledge product, like, so people could, just put in their payment details. And when I did that, I got about like 4 students. In fact, there were 2, 2 from the US, and then I got some like local guys here. Now, for the local guys, it was so crazy because everyone kept telling me, man, like, can we just send on your number? And I'm like, okay. So I went through all that for someone to tell me like, I just want to pay you with mobile money. And I'm like, okay, so there's something here we're missing. Like I'm
Yeah.
chasing a white, ideal, which is if you to sell your ideas, you have to build for the global, reach. And I'm like, no, I actually can sell my stuff locally. And in fact, I have to build things with my local people in mind. And I think that mistake only really gave me a revelation that setting up a company in the US was my, $1 billion mistake, maybe, to like say, learn that whatever you're trying to do, you can actually use the skills you got to start building that right here in Uganda.
That's right.
And some of these things, most people might think like, yo, maybe Paul is smart, he's trying to build something really unique. Nothing is unique here, my guy. Like everything is rudimental. It's just like, why is Africa always like the last guy to like, figure out stuff? And I'll tell you one thing. When I did set up the company in the US, I got to access my Amazon affiliate account because when you do set up the company in the US, they give you something called the EIN. It's like the employer identification number. Now you have like leverage to like access all these different like resources. But in between, I'm like, okay, so if I'm the guy who has like 200,000, sorry, like maybe like say $2,000 in my bank account, and I'm okay letting that go to set up a company, what is going to happen to like a young creator in Africa,
Right.
And like all these things, like, and I think that's when I had like a full year, like almost not doing nothing. And I think we met quite often, me and you, during that time where I wasn't doing anything. I was just like trying to reflect, man. Like I've been building this platform on YouTube and I can't make money off of this. Like all I'm thinking about is like we've been brainwashed, bro. Like we've been brainwashed to like chase a dream that is not there. Like you put in hours to shoot a video to match it like say Mr. Beast quality.
Right.
Spend all these hours on the thumbnail and the views come in, but you cannot convert the same as someone who's in the US.
That's right.
And I'm like,
I mean,
yo, my guy, like I thought I'm smart. Like, how did I build all this? And I didn't know that like Africa is different from the US,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear you, man. Like when you look at currently what we are doing as young adults, we are just rhyming on what's trending right now rather than investing time, to research and, putting that time. Like you said, you took some time off and you're just thinking, just doing nothing, like just going back to the drawing board. And in that time, probably you're making your research. But we just need so fast things to happen, like without figuring out what's going to be the repercussion in a few months or even few years. But the products or the brands that we're trying to compete with have invested in resources from, money, time, people, human resources. Like they're doing whatever it takes for them to be successful up there. And by the time they say, okay, we've come on market, their product is like, it's not going anywhere. Like it's gonna be here to stay. So I think the challenge that we have with we young generations that we're trying to, who are trying to come up with products is that like we're not willing to put in the time, we're not willing to put in the work. When I see Zana doing something, I also wanna be, that person who just wakes up and I wanna do that. When you started, I think Bovaz right now is doing well. A lot of creatives are now earning from it, and it's providing services to different audiences, and it's a good thing. But someone is gonna see it, and they're gonna be like, "Man, you're just selling things off WhatsApp. I can just also do that." But they're forgetting you've put in time and money to do that. Very many young generations are like trying to come up with products, but without wanting to put in all that time when it comes to like investing in research, investing in information. And when they see a product like Buvazi on market, oh, this dude is just selling products off WhatsApp, but they forget you took all the time to invest
Yeah.
into information and research and connect to people who have the information, like that's the problem we have like right now. And I don't know how we're gonna deal with that, but we need like such information for you guys, how you do it, like how you're doing it, so that a person who's trying to do the same thing can understand that you just don't wake up and put a product on market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. And I think like what I've understood is like we need to like move away from like ranting about the problem, because I've always like also just like kept hammering the problem, like this product sucks, this thing sucks, this thing doesn't work. And I'm like, you know what? I need to build something and
Yeah.
have the authority to like kind of like criticize someone's project. And when you start to build, you start to embrace the realities of what it takes. And I think what you've just said there, where kids like go in thinking that this is a 6 months project. If it doesn't work out, I move on. Like there's nothing like that. Like I would say like for me,
Yeah.
starting YouTube back in 2018, it's been like a six years project, which is still ongoing.
Yeah.
But if you go into like anything and you think it's gonna work out in 1 year, I mean, that's where I think we need to sit you down and try to get you in the right mental state that whatever you're trying to build is gonna take years. And the way I see it, like me raising kids right now, my oldest like is 5 years now. There are some things that I tried to force him to, embody when he was 2, and I could see resistance. And right now it's like just automatic. Like I don't even have to force him to like do some things. It's like just like maybe it's like the time that really brings in some realities.
Right.
And for Africa, one thing I'm certain about is we just need to have like more challenges. Like, so most of like the inspiration we got is, you look at Don Nasa and you see he has all these amazing cars, but what lacks into that entire equation is like, how did Don Nasa, achieve all that, right? I mean, like in the US, like you could just take one guy's boilerplate. Like you could say, like, I'm just gonna be Mr. Beast. And we've had like so many kids in Africa just do that. I'm just wanna be Marcus Brownie. And that only has born like youngsters in Nigeria who are like really respected tech reviewer. Like I saw one of the guys who interviewed Bill Gates, and I'm like, wow, that's crazy, Now, inspiration is everything, bro. Like if you zoom out, like why design, why content creators, why why infrastructures, why the government, like everyone lives up inspiration from the other. Like recently there's this traffic guy who went viral for doing what he's been doing.
Yeah, I saw
and
that
if you're
trend.
familiar that guy, if you've met him off the road, man, he's not posing. This motherfucker is like real grinding. Like he loves the job. He shows up every day. Like I've met him. I'm friends with him. I know 100 people are friends with him. Eventually, it works out.
Yeah.
And without inspiration, so like, do you know how many traffic officials that are gonna be like, yo, I'm like loving my job. I'm working hard now, just for one guy, And I think for me, man, like Africa has zero inspiration, man. Like I have designers I've told, like, don't go to NASA Road. Because once you're there, your life is gone.
Yeah.
Zero inspiration. Like the next thing you're worrying about, like, what is the next project? What is the next project? And it cuts across all industries. Like you look at all our, government officials, like no one is inspiring the other, like if you're gonna, grab man of the budget, I'm gonna do the same, And once we fix that inspiration part, and for me, that's why, man, my life, I've tried to like build it in a way that I'm like inspiration. Like I'm a canvas that I want someone to like mimic. Like when I see that there's a channel I came across, a designer who was reviewing logos, bro. Like you don't know what that only did to my heart. I know I might not be the guy who inspired him, but I'm like, that's crazy, Like it's like what we need. We just need replicas of like replicas.
Yeah.
Like imagine if we had imagine if we had like 5 Zanas, man, and we've had, 5, almonds that niggas are the same. Like nothing changes. Like they are all crazy enough to like do like crazy stuff. Like they're gonna like inspire the next like 100 young creators or, entrepreneurs. And I think for me, that's what it is. Like, I'm trying to build, then I start teaching people how to build.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's
Yeah.
what's it like having the product right now in Africa when it comes to like tailoring it to the right, okay, the right audience would be out of like, the scope, because I was recently reading an article, and it was saying these days when you come out and you're saying I'm targeting this audience, you literally are lying to yourself, because like the audiences are shifting every day and
Yeah.
night. Like you can't have like, okay, I'm just targeting this
Yeah.
audience. So how are you promoting this product? How is it working out?
Right. Yeah, that's a good one, man. We've been actually like really, really fighting with the content team on this one. So we 100% know it that this should be a product like TikTok. And I always like love to use TikTok as an example, because TikTok kind of like broken that bound of like age bracket, age group. Because you familiar, like before TikTok, we had Facebook as like a platform for the old pups. And and
Yeah.
then we had like say Instagram as a platform for like guys who want to look good, guys who want to flex on others. And then LinkedIn is more of like, yo, I'm here in my suit, I'm looking for a job. If I'm not looking for a job, I'm celebrating a job I just like, signed recently. Now TikTok is like,
That's right.
even a doctor, man, is huge on TikTok. Like even a guy who does zero work, man, like. And I feel like Buvaz should be like that. Buvaz should be able to like relate to Sheila Gashumba the same way it relates to, someone deep down in the trenches of Kawempe who's like trying to be smart and start selling products on the internet. And I think for me, that is the only way I can put it. And I love the fact that you familiar and observe that like really brackets of groups of ages, demographics, really that stuff is like really extremely conventional. People want to feel young forever. So if you can relate to like the Gen Zs, like you inviting a young energy. And I think if there's one thing I can take away from Adam Newman, like the WeWork guy, I know like, the product didn't work out. The guy who built WeWork, like there's one thing he understood so well, which was like bringing people together, like being the guy who builds off the energies of the people. I know like once you bring in investors, like they could like maybe, put all this on him that, he was selling a facade of a company that didn't live up to like its, evaluation. But for me, the motive, when someone is doing something, like the motive behind it is what's important, Now, for me, taking away one concept from him is like, it has to be the energies. Like, if you can relate to the Gen Zs, that means like the old people want to feel that young energy, So that means you're gonna like even invite those kind of people who want to like maybe start off like their entrepreneurship journey in their late 40s, maybe early 50s. Someone like my mom wants to be on the internet. You know why? She wants to sell some like herbal medicine to a fair age bracket. And for me, every time I wake up, I'm like, yo, mom, like if I can make you famous, that means I can make everyone, famous. And the reward of that is like having leverage, like having fans who can like support you in whichever need. So for us right now, it's really we're gonna start off like with the average person, like someone deep in the trenches of Kawempe. We teach them how to like use the internet. We show them that the internet is actually powerful. Like instead of you going downtown and look for all those good stuff and then like start selling it or hawking off the street, you can actually download this mobile application and look for the products that excites you and start selling, build a brand on the internet. And then we want also to go sit down with APAS and, Shiragashumba and tell them the same. We're like, yo, APAS, you've been building this platform for so long. And I feel like the only thing you get at these like brand deals, like partnerships. Now, what if you could sell directly to your fans, man? Like your fans love you because they come to your concerts every day and they pay for that ticket. But do you know how many fans, not because they don't have the money, but like time, maybe work, maybe life got in the way and they didn't get to show to the concert, but they want to support you, my guy. And I think for us, that's how we see,
Right.
that's how we're trying to reach out. Now, the situation is like, how do we communicate all this without like really leaving out the other? And I'm like, yo, man, it's just like a platform that everyone can use. Like if you, that guy who's from Kawempe, if you a celebrity and you already have like an audience, like come and use Buvaz. Like it's something that it's a tool. It's not even like a new platform. It's a tool that is gonna build on what you have, or it's gonna help you build leverage if you don't have any equity on the internet. Yeah.
That's good, man. Because we need such products right now, especially in Africa. I mean, we have quite a few, but then they are not like targeting our own, like this regular person who wants to get this product, but also at the same time,
Yeah.
put some money into their pockets. So I think this tool is really good. And looking at like the inspiration behind such products. I mean, I think family and people we surround ourselves with have a lot to do with inspiration. Earlier
Yeah.
on, we were talking about inspiration in
Yeah.
Africa, and you had um, to say that we don't have literally any inspiration in Africa. Is at zero. But
Man, look
then,
at look at our
yeah,
MPs, bro.
yeah.
Like I always like avoid politics, but like if that's like the high rank, man, like look at the high rank. Look, look, look
Yeah,
at
right. Like what's been like your inspiration
yeah,
in life basically when it comes to like work generally, not only this product, but like what's been your inspiration all
yeah.
over again?
Yeah, man, like that is a crazy one. Like I think the best way I can say it is like observation.
Yeah.
And it's a bit cringe telling
Yeah.
someone like observation is like the answer to inspiration. Like I'm right seated in this studio and
Yeah.
like I'm just loving everything I'm seeing
Yeah.
and what you guys are doing here is really magnificent. So everything in life is inspiration. Now, once you start like to ignore and think like inspiration is on the internet,
Yeah.
inspiration is like maybe off the internet, then you like, really overthinking.
Yeah.
Like on my way here, I came across all these like potholes in the roads. And in my head, I'm like, okay, am I gonna become an architect for one reason that our jobs are designed really terribly? And the next thing you know, I'm researching about roads. Like I'm like trying to figure out like, okay, so what is the best plan if we to plan a city? And these are the things actually like, and I'm not like making up this shit because like recently we've been like where I stay, like they have paved the road. And I've been like looking at this road and I'm like, okay, so what is missing here is like us activating this road in a way that we can like mix a road with some like maybe active activities, like say we figure out a way of like maybe putting a basketball court on the roadside. When it's not like a busy hour, people can like just bring their basketball and start playing, right?
Yeah.
Now for me, the reason why I think inspiration is everything everyone needs in life. It starts with like where you stay. It starts with like what thing you drink in the morning. Because like for me, if I wake up and I don't drink my coffee, I'm not gonna feel inspired. I'm like, what a terrible morning. Um, and it goes a bit like conventional to start thinking like inspiration is like you reading books and like traveling. Of course, like all these add on to like the component of like what exactly inspiration is, but like the everyday man, like the people you work with. And for me that has been it. Like when I look at someone who's doing like extremely the opposite of of what I want, I'm gonna take notice and I'm like, okay, I'm inspired not to do that, like, because I know how that can fuck up your life. Um, so everything, man, don't filter out the bad, don't filter out the good, just consume. And I'll give you an example. my kids have inspired me to start thinking of like doing a backflip, you know, because at that time I've never thought about such a thing. But if my kid is like is training hard, is trying to like figure out how do I do a backflip, in my head I'm like, geez, man, like I need to figure out how to do a backflip, right? In that sense, that only is inspiration. Like,
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. I was watching one of those old interviews for Virgil Abloh, like the off-white guy. You know, peace be upon him, man. He has done so much for the industry. And I came across one of the sound bites where he said you could take a can, you know, just a random can, fold it, empty can. It is nothing. It is just trash. Now, get that, put it in the middle of the room, maybe paint the room, build something around it, and it's a crazy art piece, like it's something like everyone wants to like come and see. And that only really inspired me to understand that if I'm building this like Bouvaz, community is gonna be the real thing. Like the technology is just like a trash can that no one cares about. But if we're gonna build this the right way, you have to build this community around it. And people have always asked me like, how do you define community? And it's only this quote from Virgil that inspired me to understand that, okay, that's what they call community, right?
Right.
If you go to visit the Eiffel Tower, it's like there's nothing really fancy, but there is a cult of people that are gonna show up the same time of the year, every other year.
Yeah.
And they have built like this thing where it feels good to go meet other people who are there for the same reason.
Right.
And people think they go to see the Eiffel Tower, right?
Yeah.
It's not that. It's like
I think
once you understand that, like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I think sorry, Kari, sure, but I just remember like when you talk about like community and understanding what it entails. I remember when I just come here, I went on a dinner with a friend and we tried out some food that I've never tried out in my life. And it's not the way how food tasted, but it was about the way how it was presented and the people around it and the whole experience. And it was amazing. I'm like, wow, I have to be here, man, like for all this. So when you're talking about like the Eiffel Tower and
Right.
those around it, and
Yeah.
also like it's really good, like having a community that how you can define a community also really matters on how you get inspiration. And going for
Yeah.
like you having a product that's on market right now, and you talked about lifestyle earlier on, and I'm wondering, I have friends who are working like literally day and night, and I also do the same. I mean, like sometimes you grind till 2 a.m. in the morning and you're like, oh man, I just need to close eyes for a second. But then you remember there is a calling that you have to like
Right.
I have friends who have come to me and they're like, man, I don't have time for family. I don't have time for friends. I don't have time for myself. I don't have time for my children. You have two kids right now, right? Or they say, oh, we have to go with
Three
us.
kids,
We have to go with a saying of like, a true Ugandan man doesn't have to count their children.
yeah, I know, man. I know what you're talking about. So
Yeah,
you've
but
done
anyway,
me the justice.
yeah, you have a family right now. So, how have you managed to balance work, especially that's so demanding, and your family at home to be there for them?
Right. Oh, that is something like I've always like told my wife that if there's one thing I can like do for philanthropy, it's teaching people how to design their life. Cause man, like everything in life is design, and it is quite groundbreaking that I came to this reality. I think I was when I just joined my first advertising agency, which was TBWA. I met this good friend of mine called Raymond. And Raymond was so nice that the first thing he told me is like, man, our work is boring. So you need to like get into like audio experiences. So put on your headphones, and just like ham out like the work, because that's what we do. Like we can't be talking every. I mean, like I think it was a smart way of telling me, man. Like I don't enjoy chit chatting, so you gotta get some good headphones and like do your work. But on top of that, he gave me a good book, audiobook called The Science of Getting Rich, and this book changed my life, bro. Like I always like grew up thinking that like there is time chasing us, like oh we chasing time, like whichever way you think it, um it is it is not true, right? Like there is nothing really chasing you in life. Now in this book there is a chapter, and the crazy part is like I read about 2 chapters of this book and I'm like I'm done, that's all I needed, so every time I use it as an example, I'm like, man, I need to go finish this book, because if it changed my life this way, you know and this is like way back 2016, 15.
All right.
And there's where they talk about like life in abundance, and they're like, if you're in the business where you have to win, or you have to like let other people lose for you to win, and I mean like it's not like a good business to be in, because essentially what it means, like you have to like make someone's family maybe that day miss the chicken so that your family can eat the chicken, right? And for me, like every project I've taken on, every business I've been part to, I'm trying to like analyze, like, is it a win? One has to win and the other has to lose kind of like scenario. And I've always like loved the concept of like life is, this duality that is extremely fulfilling, that even you don't know that your piece of the life you want, the desires you have is like way somewhere in the future waiting for you. And he uses a concept of land. People always like trying to like rush to buy land. Man, land in Kampala is getting over. Like you need to buy now. Like that concept only gives you the idea that life is an abundance. Like land can never get done, bro. Like even if you don't buy now, even if like it's something that you feel like if you don't get it now, like your life is gonna be miserable, you start to realize like maybe in the future there will be something more beautiful than this, right? And once you start like really having that in mind, that like life is in abundance, like what is exciting today, there is gonna be something more exciting like a million times, And that thing, stood with me for all this long. And I understand that in life, you have to design your lifestyle or your life with that like abundance in mind. Now, most people always fall into the trap of like they try to like make so much money, they migrate, go to Dubai to grind, maybe save up some money, like they have like 200 mil in their account, and they're like, okay, now it's time to go back home and have fun. That's not what they call fun. Fun is you loving what you're doing in that very moment. Because if your life is like really preparing you to have your abundance, you just need to love this very moment. And for me, it's been that, man. I did, a janitor job with Endiro way back, and all the guys, all like, and I think that's how I fall in love with coffee. Because of course, coffee was my thing before Endiro. I was there 1 month, but the way these guys used to like, ask me questions like, man, like, how do you love cleaning the floor so much that you make me rethink my service gig, And for me, it's like that reality that once you into something, even if it's like terrible, you have to love it, man. Now,
All right.
the reason why someone who does a 9 to 5, hates their job, hate is like the thing they lead with. That means they hate their family. They hate everything that makes them do this bad job. Because the only reason why you go to work is like, I have to pay Yaka for my kids' school fees and, feed them and all that. So if you hate the job, that means you hate all the motherfuckers. Like you don't even care about them, And for me, what I understood is like, you have to love that one thing so that you can like just love everything around you, man.
I mean, like doing a 9 to 5 is right now, I think if you're coming out of like varsity, or if like you're in a war, or you like in an career that requires you to do a 9 to 5, and you have a family or you have a
Yeah.
life outside like work, it becomes hard. How do you do that? Like sometimes it's just hard, like to be there all the time for the people you love, for your children, for your
Yeah.
parents, for your husband, for your wife. Like,
Yeah.
how do you balance that work lifestyle with your lifestyle outside work?
Um, like I would be the worst guy to give you
You
advice.
haven't
Like
done a 9 to 5?
in relation to like how like I've done a 9 to 5, but like the reason why I say that, like regarding your age, like so if you're someone who's young, like my advice would work for you, right? Like it's something that you in your early 20s, you gotta know to the dot how your life is gonna be in the next 5 years. If you don't know that, that's where the problem starts. Because for me, if you ask me why would you quit, an art director role, you know, everyone is dreaming to be an art director for an ad agency, because like of course it doesn't only come with a title, it is something that comes with good money. And the reason why I know that, I knew it 100% that, man, like my kids should never miss their dad. And from day one, before even I had kids, like the only thing I was working my ass off for was the freedom, like, the freedom to be able to like make the calls. So if I get a client project, I want to be able to like work on my terms. I don't want to be in a scenario where I have to be, to wake up every day, 9 a.m., put on a suit, jump into the traffic and go sit at someone's desk and, wait till it's 5 p.m. and then you jump in traffic and then go, and you expect to go give your family a smile.
Yeah.
It's like there's so much in between that, life gets in the way. And for me, my deal was like, how can I escape this and figure out like a life that at least would be comfortable for me? And of course, like I would say like there are quite a number of like, pieces of information or material that has kind of like really shaped me into this mold. Because there are times where I don't even have rent, but it doesn't mean you're gonna, lash out and say, oh fuck, man, like I miss my job, I need my job back. Like there are some sacrifices that have to be done. Like I'll tell you this, like I enjoy everything, spending time with my kids, my family, because I chose not to go clubbing in my 20s, right? And those decisions, now that's why I told you, like, I might not be able to advise you if like maybe 30s or, 40s, like you already like a spoiled rat or something like that. But again, like there's nothing like it's late. It is something you figure out now and say, okay, I'm gonna like trade off some things. I'm gonna choose not to like spending every other weekend, out, drinking, intoxicating yourself. And I choose to be on board, And I think those decisions are the hard ones. Like, because everyone wants a good life, but like, what it takes? Just think about all the hours you have to put in and the pain in the gym if you want a good body. It is the same thing, man. Like me and my wife, like the sacrifices we've done, like it's like a lot, man. Like yesterday, I was supposed to meet my good friend Laz, and of course we had dinner planned, and I had to like disappoint him because he's been like around for a week. I think he's going back on Sunday. Yeah. But like these are the sacrifices. So like if you, because like there are people who tell you like, I don't have time for my friends, my family, my everything. Okay, there is a problem with this guy. Yeah. Maybe he needs a different piece of advice. But like say you ain't gonna choose your friends over your family or your kids. It's like those are the decisions that are hard to make, but you have to, be able to take them on.
Right. Yeah. I mean, those are sacrifices that we make. You talked about gym earlier on, and I remember us having a conversation about gym. Right. I'm currently working out. It's yet to come, but it will. But tell me, just tell me briefly about like your gym lifestyle, because this is like a well-being lifestyle, because Right now, we are really, really, really so messed up when it comes to mental well-being, physical well-being. All the world is like
Yeah,
literally in shambles. And when you decided to start like
yeah,
going to the gym, I remember us talking about it, and you're like, it really, really helped you to get back in shape, both physically and mentally. How did that turn
yeah,
out? What was like that moment you realize that, man, I just need to get my health lifestyle in shape?
yeah. Man, like like of all things I've like dreamed and like visioned, you know, a perfect physique has been part of it. Like it's not even
Yeah.
hype. So this is my third stab at it. Like the first try, I had a terrible trainer. Like this guy wanted me to bulk.
Yeah.
So I
What's
tapped out. I'm like, okay, I'm known here to be a bouncer body. I'm like,
I
I'm
wanted
here
me
to
to
be fit.
bulk.
You know, he wanted me to bow because like I think the day, I mean, I love it's called Coach, is this Shafiq or something, Shaku, somewhere in Chireka.
Yeah.
Like I think by then that's the only gym I could afford. It was way back, I think 2017. That's when I actually wanted to like really start working on my physique. Because I've always like been someone who wants to be in shape, but what got in the way was work. But I started like realizing also like that is like a lazy
Mm-hmm.
excuse. So we had like a second try, and usually what I like the internet will tell you that you need a gym partner to be able to make it so that you guys can hold yourself accountable. So the first time I paid for my friend, we're like, yo, let's go. My friend called Sammy. I'm like, yo, could you just come? We go do this gym thing, and I'll be paying. Don't worry about that. My guy was like acting. Like some days shows, some days doesn't. And I think maybe that led to my like, also laziness. And I'm like, you know what? Like, let me chill this gym thing for now. So it happened again, I think, when I went back in with my friend Gilbert. That is like, I think somewhat like around 2020, 22. So we did like some good months in, like we went in like say 4 months, and also Gilbert tapped out. um, so when I just launched Buvaz, I'm like, okay, you know what? Like everything right now really needs me to be at my sharpest, mental capacity. So I'm like, what is the one thing that can help me really be in this state? And working out was like the option. So I started off with like running and jogging and doing random things at home. And I think that's when I started building the momentum. And as everything, I've always like wanted to really inspire, man. Like for me, I've always like wanted to inspire. And I think in between, the only thing my friends kept nagging me is like, yeah, he's gonna start his gym talk. It's like once I'm into something, like I'm gonna become an advocate right away. So I'm preaching this. I'm like, yo, you gotta be fit for this reason. You gotta keep all your muscles. And I think this year I turned 30, and I'm like, you know what? I need to have like my body in check before my body can keep up with whatever happens like beyond like maybe the 30s. And it's about like really building muscle so that when I'm old I can still race with my kids. And it's been really this journey that if I tell you like I went into it and I started doing it, I'll be lying. And the only guy I trust when he says something about like having a perfect physique is like Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan will tell you, man, like people always like trying to like make their body hate them. Like, nigga goes like Monday to Sunday and year to year. Is pretty honest. It's like there are some months where I go hard,
Yeah.
and then there are some months where I'm like,
Yeah.
fuck all this, man. I gotta live like a person.
Yeah.
And I think for me that's what I've understood, that even if like you trying to work out and you fall off, don't beat up yourself, man. It's like, yeah, I mean, like, like you will go back whenever you can. And I think for me that has been it. Like I don't force myself. I do it when the mentor needs it. Like if I feel like I have this thought, like I just need to like sweat,
Yeah.
punish my body. I just go do it.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. I mean, I think that helps you in getting your mental well being like in shape. Because right now, I think when we look at the figures and statistics of like mental health and mental disorders that are coming up every now and then. Like we literally
Yeah.
having even those that we've never heard about coming up just because we are not being healthy enough. And yet we have like literally everything in our scope, to be healthy.
Yeah.
You don't have to go to the gym for you to be, physically healthy. Like it's
Yeah.
day outside, whether it's raining or shining. Like you can literally take that jog and run, get your life together, like in terms of like
Yeah.
having your mental well-being together. So you sharing that, I think it helps, especially those who are working like a lot, because once you're seated in an office for
Yeah.
like 3-4 hours, or you're seated on a project, let's say you're not in an office, you're just seated on a project working on it in a coffee shop, like you're seated for 5 hours. That's like a long time.
Yeah.
Just replicate that like in a week, and then replicate that in a month, then in years. Like your body's just gonna be static, and
Right.
it's gonna get to your mental, well-being. So working out is really, really good for
Yeah.
your mental health. And I think when you start working out, then you also realize that you need to eat well for you to compromise. I mean, to complement your workout energy that you're
Yeah.
putting in. So
Yeah.
it's really, really good. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So Zana, I think we
Yeah.
are almost coming to the end of the podcast. But one thing that I should like really, really ask is about relationships. It's something that
Yeah.
everyone wants to know. Uh, when
Yeah.
did you know she's the right one?
Right. Yo, man, that's I'm actually like to be like when you speak about
Yeah.
inspiration, like because like there's always like this reality of a successful man or woman should like have a man besides him, or a woman besides like well rounded like realities of life. um and for me, like I would say 100% that that is all true. Like we designed to procreate. So if you're gonna like live into a world where you say women are known for me, and you live in a world where you say men are known for me, I don't support any of those communities. Like there's this reality where like everyone needs each other. And for me, really, the question of like, when do you know whether she's the right one? Yeah, I've always like answered that question, because most of my friends that are married now and they have kids now, I've been that inspiration for them. Like they kept nagging that same question, like, yo, there's this girl and that girl, like, what do you think? Are they? I'm like, I think by the time you start like getting that idea of like chasing the right one, you're gonna like be interfaced with so much disappointment that there's something in school we used to do CRE, which was more of like the Catholic version of like IRE. And there's this topic that really excited me. So when it comes to like marriage, relation stuff, I'm like, that is the only subject matter I reference, which is there's something we call courtship. And for me, the way I interpret courtship in my modern, school of thought is, if you run that thought experiment and say, for you to marry someone, like that's how the religion like advise you to do it, to do it. It's like, for you to marry someone, you have to go through like a long period of courtship. And in that sense, all courtship is about is like you guys knowing each other, So spiritually, like that phenomenon is right there in your face. It's like, don't trust no one before you know them so well, right? Because whatever it says in that is, if you put so many expectations into the other party, that part also has like a list of expectations from you. So none of you guys is gonna win. Now, for me, the way I see it is like you accepting that this is like a long life journey, that you could spend 5 years, with someone, and that someone is not the right one. That is also a reality. But still, like, if you dial down your expectation, you're gonna be able to, understand that that wasn't my perfect fit, or that wasn't my fit, that someone for me is around the corner. And I think for me, that was, in moments where I'm doubting myself, that is she the one? I'm like, you know what? Maybe we just started knowing each other. And even this day, man, like, I tell my guys, don't think marriage is what, my mom told me, when you're in 2024. If you still have that like conventional lens of you trying to like have a wife who did like the traditional things,
Right.
then it's gonna be like something that you struggle with. Just put it in perspective. My kids use smartphones, my wife use smartphones, like they are all over the internet. Like the dynamic kind of changed.
Yeah.
So you have to like also really put that in mind, that if you try to like marry a woman to impress all your virtues, you might bring in so many conventional virtues that might stop you from getting maybe even like chasing away the right partner. So it is something that time gives you the opportunity if you're willing to play the long game.
Yeah.
And if you're someone who's rushing, still time will like give you the life lesson.
I hear you, man.
There's no escaping it.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good information for those my guys who are looking at finding the right person. But
few months I marry her.
yeah.
Few months I want to marry him.
Yeah, a few months I want to marry
come
you.
on.
Can I propose?
Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on. Yeah.
Well, Zana, I think our time is fast spent, but I just want to know, like, what's your last message to the viewer or to the listener who's listening to this podcast? We need to talk, and they're like, okay, I want to get a Buvazi somewhere. Where can I find it? But also, I want to hear a word of inspiration from Paul Zana.
Right. So the one thing that I'm gonna tell you is, there is no right time to be ready. Like if you waiting for that moment to do the big bang, the moment is now. And I know this is like a broken record, but the reason why I say it is we have this phenomenon of like small creators in our space. Like you just started, you have like say 500 followers, and you're like, you know what, like let me wait till I have 10K, then I can start like maybe making a statement. There is no such a thing. Like if you have 100K, my call to you out right now is like, do you even know them by name? Because like that is the first opportunity for you to know that if I have like 10 followers, these are my guys. Like if someone chooses to follow you, like you gotta pause for a moment and understand, why are they following me? And the reason why I'm giving you this example is like, I mean, I'm a content creator. I'm building a product that is gonna help, content creators really make so much money on their platforms. So the advice I'm trying to give you is, don't look at the numbers. Don't try to like stress yourself about the numbers. Like do what exactly you want to do with your brand on the internet. Once you understand that, like everything is just gonna be smooth. Like you're gonna see yourself grow progressively. You're gonna actually see yourself happy. And I think for me, that's what really saved me. Like it's like if I looked at the numbers, like I wouldn't even be sitting here, but I don't care. That's the mentality I really advise every young entrepreneur and creator out there. If you have 2 users and your product has only 2 users, just make sure those guys are happy.
Right. Thank you, Zana, for coming through the podcast, and I really, really appreciate your time. I hope whoever's listening to this podcast has picked a thing or two that will help them in whatever area they're trying to better themselves. And remember to subscribe to Gather Now Network, the YouTube channel, but also you can listen to this podcast wherever you get your podcast from. From me and Zana, we wish you very well. Have a good one. Bye.